Thank you all for joining with us with this special webinar of CIRDAP under the CIRDAP Knowledge Series 2026. Today is special because we have with us our esteemed speaker, Her Excellency Dasho Karma Hamu Dorjee, ma'am, Ambassador of Bhutan, Royal Bhutanese Embassy in Dhaka, Bangladesh. So first of all, thank you, ma'am, for joining with us. And it's an honor for all of us, actually, and especially honor for CIRDAP and CIRDAP staff. So before moving to our webinar, we will introduce our honorable speaker. Now I am requesting our Honorable Director General of CIRDAP, Dr. P. Chandra Shekhara sir, to commence this webinar and introduce our esteemed speaker. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Haren. Good morning to all the participants. On behalf of CIRDAP family, I would like to welcome all the participants and especially today's esteemed speaker, Excellency Karma Hamu, Dasho Karma Hamu Dorjee, Honorable Ambassador of Bhutan in Bangladesh, to speak on this very interesting topic. Thank you, Excellency, for your valuable time. On behalf of CIRDAP family, I would like to extend a warm welcome. Regarding this webinar series, this is one of the flagship activity of CIRDAP. It aims at connecting global good practices in rural development and also global experts with the last mile extension functionary in rural development in Asia and Pacific. Regarding the topic, this is very interesting. We can see a large number of participants from different parts of the world. Actually, here the number is number of countries, so the diversity is so varied. Today, the Honorable Speaker is going to speak on gross national happiness and its operationalization in Bhutan. As rural development professionals, we all know that whenever we aim at implementing any rural development program effectively, ultimately we want to bring the smile on the face of the last mile villager or a farmer. That happiness is not recognized when a program is evaluated. We evaluate a program in terms of number of jobs created, number of people adopted a good practice, and so many things, forgetting the very happiness. Now, here is a country, Bhutan, which institutionalized happiness in national programs and policies and stood as an outstanding example for the rest of the world. Excellency, over to you. Before asking you to share your thoughts, I would like to introduce today's honorable speaker, Excellency Dasho Karma Hamu Dorjee is a civil servant of Bhutan from past 33 years. She has been serving Bhutan Administrative Service. After joining Bhutan Administrative Service during 1993, she played a very important role in several sectors. She served UNDP Bhutan, Health Ministry. She also served chairperson of Royal Civil Service Commission of Bhutan and chair of Royal Institute of Management and deputy chair of Royal Institute of Governance and Strategic Studies. And at present, she is serving as the ambassador of Bhutan to Bangladesh. She received an important award of Red Scarf and concurrent title of Dasho by His Majesty the King in April 2024. She holds a bachelor degree from a very reputed institute, Indraprastha College of Delhi University in History, Administrative Management Program from Royal Institute of Management, Thimphu, and also a master's degree in local and regional development from the Institute of Social Studies, from The Hague, Netherlands. Thank you, Excellency, for accepting our invitation. Over to you.
Very good morning, very good afternoon to all participants that have joined today. Thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhara, for your very kind introduction, and to CIRDAP for giving me this opportunity to present on GNH in Bhutan. So I'm very privileged indeed to represent Bhutan and to be able to present on the topic of GNH. So Pema, can you start presenting? I hope you can all see the screen.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So gross national happiness, I would like to go through, next slide, Pema. Okay, so the outline of my presentation is in 4 parts. I will briefly introduce Bhutan and GNH and the history behind it. Then I will go into the more meatier parts, which is about the GNH indicators and survey. Then I'll move on to how do we operationalize GNH into our work, especially in the government. And finally, I will talk about a very new development, which is the Gelifu Mindfulness City. Next slide. So for many of you who may not know much about Bhutan, Bhutan is a small country in the Eastern Himalayas with China to the north and India to the south, and of course, close to Bangladesh and Nepal as well. Next slide. So in terms of our system of government, Bhutan is a democratic constitutional monarchy with His Majesty the King as the head of state, our Prime Minister as the head of government. We have 3 arms of the government. We have the legislature consisting of the upper and the lower house. We have the judiciary consisting of the Supreme Court, the High Court, and the district courts. And then we have the executive arm, which consists of the Prime Minister and his cabinet ministers, and supported by, of course, civil servants and public servants. We have 20 districts and a population, very small population of 780,000 people, and the size of about 38,400 square kilometers. So if you look back into our history, right from the time of our founding father, Shabdung Ngawang Namgyal, who unified the country, who codified our laws and laid down the foundations of our political and cultural identity. In his code of 1729, way back in that period, it states that if the government cannot create happiness for its people, then there is no purpose for the government to exist. So you can see that right way back in the 18th century, the idea of happiness already existed. So if you look at the father of GNH, it is His Majesty, the 4th King, Jigme Singye Wangchuck, who stated that gross national happiness is more important than gross national product. His Majesty, the King, is also the father of democracy, where he introduced democracy in 2008 and voluntarily abdicated in favor of his son, much against the wishes of the people. Next slide. So he was the main driver of drafting of the Constitution, which was enacted in 2008. And in the Articles of State, Article 9, it states that the state shall strive to promote those conditions that will enable the pursuit of gross national happiness. So we are constitutionally mandated to promote GNH. Next slide. So this is the first part, which is a very brief introduction. The second part is about the details of GNH. What is GNH? So GNH is our development philosophy and a comprehensive measurement framework that believes that the beneficial development of human society takes place when material and spiritual development occur side by side to complement and reinforce each other. Next slide. So it consists of 9 domains: health, education and living standards, which are more or less the conventional domains or indicators of human development, also used by UNDP, Human Development Index. GNH goes beyond it. It measures things like cultural diversity, good governance, ecological diversity and resilience, psychological well-being, community vitality, and time use. Next slide. The 9 GNH domains are then underpinned by 33 indicators. So under mental health, we measure indicators like mental health, self-reported health status, healthy days, disability. Under education, we have literacy, educational level, knowledge, and values. Living standard measures assets, housing, household per capita. Cultural diversity looks at things like, do you speak the native language? What is your cultural participation? What is your artistic skills? How much is your knowledge of Dilam Namja, or what we call traditional etiquette? Good governance looks at government performance, fundamental rights, access to services, the extent of political participation. Ecological diversity looks at what are the ecological issues, responsibility towards the environment, what is the extent of wildlife damage for rural inhabitants, and urbanization issues for those who live in urban areas. Under psychological well-being, it measures things like life satisfaction, positive emotions, negative emotions, spirituality. Community vitality looks at what is your donation both in time and money, the extent of your community relationship. What do you feel your family is safe? And finally, time use looks at the amount of time spent at work and for sleep. Next slide. So GNH is measured through the GNH surveys, of which we have done 5 so far, with the piloting first starting in 2006 and 7, and the latest being the 2022 GNH survey. Next slide. So as you can see, we have 9 domains and 33 indicators, of which when we conduct the survey, it consists of 360 questions, which is an extensive questionnaire. And because of it being so extensive, it takes on an average 1 hour 45 minutes per respondent to complete the face-to-face interview. And of course, the data is collected representative of all the 20 districts that we have and all kinds of demographic groups. Next slide. So just to give you a flavor of the kind of questions that are asked. So for example, under good governance, we have questions like participation in Zomdo. Zomdo is a village meeting, and these are traditional meetings which are conducted to get, all the inhabitants to give their views and seek their approvals. So it says, in the past 12 months, have you attended a Zomdo? Questions like, please tell me how much personally do you trust the government? Or under community vitality, questions like, how do you describe your sense of belonging to the local community? Or in the last month, how often did you socialize with your neighbors? So this is a sample scoring sheet of the GNH survey. So you have the 9 domains and the 33 indicators, and then of course the scores of the domain, indicator scores, and then the domain scores, which shows that this individual has scored 81.5%. Next slide. So if you look, this is what we call the happiness gradient, of which the score is from 0 to 100. And in order for a person to be happy, they have to achieve a sufficiency score of 66% and above. And the lady in the previous slide scored 81.5%, which classifies her as deeply happy. And below 66% up to 50 is considered narrowly or not yet happy. And below 50 are unhappy. So this is what the scoring for the GNH index. Next slide. So after the entire survey is done, then they calculate what we call the GNH Index, which can be calculated by the GNH Index can be calculated by location, by gender, and so on and so forth. So this is the calculation for the entire GNH survey, which is for the country. So if you look at it, it is GNH Index is calculated as H sub H, which is the percentage of happy people, plus H sub N, which is percentage of people who are not yet happy, and that is multiplied into the average sufficiency among the not yet happy. So these two together are added up, and for the 2022 survey, the GNH index for the country was 0.781 on a score of 0 to 1. So it basically shows that overall, Bhutanese people are happy. Next slide. So if you look at the time series data of the last 3 surveys, you can see that in 2022, the latest GNH survey, the share of deeply happy people grew by 1.23%, and extensively happy people increased by 5.95%. And proportionately, the number of unhappy people decreased by 4%, while narrowly happy people decreased by 3.17%. So 2022, the GNH shows that generally people in Bhutan are happy. As we speak, they are already working on the next GNH survey, which we hope can be conducted by the end of this year or early next year. Next slide. Go out of it. Okay, so now I would like to move on to the third part of my presentation, which is the practical applications of the GNH indicators and surveys. So we've conducted these surveys. What do we use it for? Next slide. So there are 5 broad areas in which we use the results of the GNH surveys and the GNH indicators. So I will go into detail in all the 5. So first, we use it as a criterion for the resource allocation formula for local governments. We use it for the strategic planning, monitoring, and evaluation of our 5-year plans. We use it in our education policy. We use it as a framework for screening policies and as a framework for assessing the performance of business enterprises. So the first use of the GNH index is for the resource allocation formula. So Bhutan is a unitary government, which means that the central government provides the resources for the local governments, which are the 20 districts, the 205 counties, and the 4 municipalities. So in the resource allocation formula is a way in which we give resources to the local governments, which is an objective, it's a very transparent, fair, and predictable way in which resources are given to local governments. So if you look at the criteria that we use, generally we use the criteria of population, geographical area. In some cases, we use poverty, climate change vulnerability analysis index, and in some cases, we also use transportation index and unemployment distribution. But for all the 3 types of local governments, we use the GNH index. That means the inverse of the GNH index, which I just explained in the earlier slide. So if your GNH index is low, then accordingly, your resources that are being allocated to you through using the allocation formula, you get a higher amount of resources, and vice versa. So in this way, GNH is actually built into the system in terms of giving resources to local governments. Next slide. We also use it for our 5-year planning. The current 5-year plan runs from 2024 to 2029. And while that planning was being done, they looked at the findings of the 2022 survey And it was revealed that the living standards and psychological well-being domains were in a sense impacted largely due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So consequently, the 13th five-year plan pivoted and prioritized economic recovery to improve inclusiveness through creation of decent employment and strengthen social protection that encompass gender and disability dimensions so that no one is left behind. So that is one way in which we used for the planning purpose. The second way we use in our five-year plan is through the monitoring and evaluation framework, in which these 6 domains, living standards, ecological diversity, health, education, psychological well-being, and GNH time use score, have been put as part of the monitoring and evaluation framework for the 13th five-year plan. So that through the implementation of the five-year plan, and at the end of it, the evaluation will take care and ensure that these are managed and monitored and also enhanced. Next slide. We also use it for our education, and in the education, the policy is called the Educating for GNH policy, which was introduced in 2010. And the objective of this is to transform schools into GNH schools that nurture holistic, ethical individuals rather than focusing solely on academic achievements. So the GNH principles are not taught as a separate subject, but rather a policy infused into daily learning to make learning more meaningful and to make the process of learning as far as possible a joyful experience. So the key aspects are infusing it into the curriculum, having contemplative practices, which includes mindfulness, meditation, moments of silence to improve focus and contemplative learning. It is also put into the teaching pedagogy. Teachers actively infuse GNH values through their daily interaction and teaching methods, not just in the lessons. And then we have what we call GNH schools or green schools that develop the environments rich in greenery, that is both physical, intellectual, rich in culture and moral consciousness for a more positive school environment. Next slide. We also use it for, as I said, the fourth way in which we use GNH is to screen policies. And this is to ensure that we assess the impacts of any policy on GNH and select GNH enhancing policies. Next slide. So to do that, we use 23 indicators, and this framework is then the screening is done by a very heterogeneous group of people. Next slide. So every indicator, that is the 23 of these indicators, have a scoring from 1 to 4, and the total points is of course the number of indicators, which is 23 into 4, and the neutral score is 3. So any policy should score equal to or greater than the neutral score to be aligned to GNH. So that is score of 69. Next slide. So these are just some of the examples of the questions that are usually under the various 23 indicators. So I've put in 3 here. So like, for example, participation. The question asked, will this policy probably decrease the opportunity for equitable participation in government decisions? Then we have the second question, do not know the effect of the opportunity, or should have little or no effect on equitable participation, or should increase the opportunity for equitable participation in government decisions. So similarly, we have for pollution, judiciary, and for all the other 23 indicators. So in total, starting from 2010, 49 policies have been screened. And generally, the effort is not to pass or fail policies, but to ensure that policies put in elements that align with GNH. So we had a case of, for example, one policy which didn't do, had a very poor scoring. So the feedback was given, and they re-looked at the policy and tried to enhance it aligned to the GNH principles, and finally the policy was able to successfully be assessed and put up to the cabinet. Next slide. And then the final way in which we utilize the GNH indicators is as a framework for assessing the performance of business enterprises. And this is entirely voluntary. Businesses can come forward and say they want to get the GNH or business certificate. And this, by getting this certificate, it shows that they adopt sustainable practices in their day-to-day operations and conduct business with sensitivity towards social, cultural, economic, and environmental issues. And so far, 8 businesses have been certified as have received the GNH or business certificate. And how do they do it? Is they have these 9 domains and 46 indicators. Next slide. And the assessment is conducted through worker surveys, management interviews, looking at administrative data, face-to-face interview, semi-structured questionnaire. So these are the various methods that they use to assess whether the business is deemed GNH aligned. So these are the 5 ways in which we have operationalized GNH into the work of the government as well as for businesses if they wish to. Next slide. So this is the last part of my presentation, which is the Gelfu Mindfulness City, which is a new development that was introduced in December of 2023. Next slide. So GMC is a project envisioned by His Majesty, the King Jigme Singye Wangchuck, who proposed the city as an embodiment of sustainable and conscious development inspired by Buddhist spiritual heritage and GNH values. Mindfulness is at the core of our value-based city and aligns with the ethos and identity of our nation. In line with GNH's principles, GMC will promote sustainability, mindfulness, and community well-being, integrating green spaces for meditation, mindfulness-based education, healthcare, and wellness centers, and eco-friendly transportation options, including walking and cycling. GMC's design incorporates eco-friendly architecture, following Bhutan's status as the world's first carbon-negative country. Aligned to this, 8 industries will be promoted in GMC. Spiritual, GMC aims to serve as a global hub for Buddhist spiritual journeys through teachings, practices, and cultural exchange, and connect GMC with the wider Buddhist sites in the region. The second industry is health and wellness, offering wellness and mindfulness retreats as a transformative experience in GMC. The third industry is education and knowledge, and GMC aims to create a specialized knowledge hub, bringing together Eastern wisdom with Western advancement. The fourth industry is forestry and agrotech. GMC aims to enhance Bhutan's extensive forestry resources by developing forestry tech that support climate change goals in reducing the harmful content in construction materials. GMC also aims to tap into Bhutan's rich and diverse biodiversity to explore how agri-tech can be developed to enhance sustainable food production. The fifth industry is energy and tech. GMC aims to serve as a hub for sustainable innovation with focus on renewable energy such as hydropower, solar, geothermal, and emerging green technologies. The sixth industry is finance and digital assets, and GMC aims to be a leader in financial service and digital assets, powered by innovation in financial technology, fintech, and blockchain. It also aims to be an aviation and logistic hub, and finally, ecotourism. GMC aspires to become a leading global destination for mindful and sustainable travel, grounded in environmental stewardship and cultural authenticity. So this is the latest development as far as how we are trying to take GNH further and actually build a city aligned to the principles of GNH. So with this, I come to the end of my presentation. I hope that I have been able to convey the essence of GNH in a very short time that I have been given, and how Bhutan makes the effort to translate it into our lives. Thank you very much, and I am happy to answer any questions or any clarifications that our participants may seek. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Her Excellency, ma'am. It was a very comprehensive and wonderful presentation. Now, before our Director General, sir, comment and final statement, now it is time for the it's just an interactive session. If anyone wants to anything to our esteemed speaker, they can directly ask the question or drop your questions or comments in the chat box. So, okay, one person raised his hand, Mr. Radha Madhav. Okay. Sir, you can ask questions or comments. Mr. Radha Madhav.
Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity, especially Dr. Chandrasekhara ji, to begin this day with a very enlightening session. Listening to Madam's briefing about the Bhutan Global National Happiness Index, I have few queries. I mean, countries like India, we have similar things happening, but in an isolated manner. Wellness is taken care by someone. Then spiritual process is taken care by someone. Agriculture is taken care by someone. But the way you have, designed the whole approach of integrating different isolated elements into a comprehensive model is fantastic, no doubt about it. But how do you ensure that it happens, it is implemented? Do you have a separate ministry, separate mechanism to thoroughly review it periodically, monitor it, and relate to the different policies and the plans of development in Bhutan? This is the question I have. Thank you so much.
So next from Kumilla Bird, Training Director, Mr. Mamun. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Her Excellency. Yes, it is a really wonderful presentation regarding this issue. It's very important for all of us. I just want to ask you one question that our Bangladesh is a densely populated country, as you know. So, but Bhutan is not like that, that country. So my question is, for our country perspective, how we can make our people happiness and how we can make us happiness also. Can you please share your experience or anything else? Then it will be happy for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ma'am, we will take another question, ma'am. Then, okay. From Professor Vasanti Rajendran, ma'am. Ma'am, yes, you can unmute your audio and ask the questions. Vasanti, ma'am. Are you there, ma'am?
May I ask a question, please?
Okay. In the meantime, you can, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great presentation. I'm Dr. Desai. I just wanted to know one small query. You have used throughout the discrete scoring system of 1 to 4 scale. Is it possible that the outcome gets influenced as against a continuous scale if we can use? Will it give a different outcome? That's
okay.
Okay, so I'll just quickly answer it, starting from the last Mr. Desai.
Question.
So
Yes,
Thank you.
I wanted to say that I'm not a statistician, so it's very difficult for me to answer questions related to the scoring system and all of that. But definitely, let me note your question, and I will ask the GNH, the Center for Bhutan Studies, and GNH Studies, who are actually the organization that conducts and does all the technical work of GNH on your question. I'm very sorry, I'm unable to answer your question.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So on the second question, which was how can we also introduce and help bring about greater happiness in our respective countries? I think Bhutan is a small country and with a very small population, and of course with very enlightened leadership. So that makes it so much easier for us to be able to do what we do. But that doesn't mean, and I think it also comes back to the question asked by the first speaker, Mr. Madhav, that it is being done in many communities, across the country, like in India. So it is a big challenge to be able to do it in, I would imagine it would be a big challenge when you have to do it in such a diverse and large countries like India and also extremely populated countries like Bangladesh. But that doesn't mean that we can start small, do it in our own agencies, do it in our own communities, and all our colleagues working in CIRDAP work very closely with rural communities. So I feel that it can be operationalized, what we call bright lights. We can do it in a small way and scale it up as and when that is viable. On the question on how do we ensure that we make sure that GNH is continuously monitored and we put it into practice. So that is why it is being put into our GNH, into our monitoring and evaluation framework for the 5-year plan. So we have the midterm review is going on as we speak, and they will be looking at the progress of the various 5-year plan projects. And as and when the GNH survey is done, the results of the survey will go back into these monitoring process. And finally, it will be also used for the evaluation of the 5-year plan. So in that way, we try and ensure that it is on our dashboard and that it doesn't fall through the cracks.
Thank you, ma'am.
First question. I mean, I was asking who monitors from government? Do you have a ministry?
Okay.
Do you have?
Yes, sorry. So we have the Prime Minister's office that has a special department that looks at the entire planning and monitoring of the 5-year plans. So that agency, and also supported by the Department of Budget that works hand in hand with this department under the Prime Minister's office, that continuously monitors the progress of the 5-year plans.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Yes, Professor Vasanthi, ma'am, now you can ask.
Thank you, Rain. Very
Yes.
good morning to His Excellency, the DG of CIRDAP, Her Excellency, the Ambassador to Bangladesh from Bhutan, Ms. Karma Hamu, and all the other participants. It was indeed a very, very interesting presentation, and I would like to thank CIRDAP for organizing such webinars. It's something that it can be replicated, but how it can be replicated, many of us were questioning Her Excellency. I think we can begin in a small way, as she's mentioned, in some communities and etc. Her Excellency, I would like to just, your presentation reminded me of our work at Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development, where we developed a Youth Development Index, which had almost similar, domains and indicators. to measure the status of youth in our country, in India. And we could do that. We did not have so many of your, because your indicators are mainly, on personal issues of the, the respondents. So I have just a few questions, Your Excellency. One is, what was the size of population? Do you, the survey is conducted across every citizen, or is it limited to, a certain number and a percentage? And that is question number one. And the second one is regarding your indicator, your domains, and some of the indicators, which I raises some curiosity in me to know how you measured that. For instance, in health, you had this indicator called self-reported health. So I would like to know what are the questions that you ask, because something which you report on your own, in what capacity the individual will be able to respond to these questions, whether the questions are could be answered by any citizen, whatever his or her level of education or whatever. And the second one is on sleep and work. Sleep and work. How do you? What are the questions? Like in sleep, what? Of course, 8 hours of sleep, but maybe that is the number of hours of sleep. But work, what were the questions? So these are the two. I would like to know what are the questions that were asked, and as also mentioned by one of the participants about the the periodicity of your conducting the survey. I think it's roughly 5 years. So in 5 years, whether how you can take how you can measure the trend, whether you have done that, whether you have attempted at that. That is another question. And the last one is, I would like to, it's not a question, but I would like to congratulate actually you, the Bhutan, government of Bhutan, and the leadership of Bhutan, for not only developing this index and, in sharing it with the world, because Bhutan is the only country which has this happiness index, I think, and some, maybe there's Norway and other countries, but, sharing it with other countries, I think this is something, and not only doing that, but also develop, applying it to a particular city and developing a very good practice, ensuring that it is having its impact on the people. So thank you, Your Excellency. I really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor. I will answer your questions and as well as some of the questions that are there in the chat. So to begin with, in terms of the number of respondents, the last GNH survey had about roughly 11,500 respondents. Sorry. Okay. So I will put up on the screen the kind of questions that were asked under health and under sleep and work, just to for you to have an idea of what kind of questions are being asked. They are quite extensive. So if you can go to health, questions on health.
Ma'am, it's not visible. Can you just, one or two questions, can you just read it out? Because
yes, we will take you to the health questionnaire, the health part of the question. Yes, so these are the type of questions that are asked under the health domain. So we can share it with you, Professor.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Excellency.
So I think you can get a sense of the kind of questions that are being asked.
Yes.
Right? And also under sleep and under the sleep and work, the time used, it's actually a log of the amount of time they take for good to sleep and work. You were showing that. I think the last. Yeah. So it's actually a log of your the time that you spend for every hour. Go on, go on. Go on.
It must be an average, ma'am, an average over a period of time.
So they actually log the entire day, 24 hours. They ask questions on how do you spend the 24 hours.
Okay.
Okay. And in terms of the how often we do this, as you can see, we have done it. We've tried to do it every 5 years. It's a very expensive exercise, as you can see. It's spending 1 hour 45 minutes per respondent means it takes a lot of time. The survey people conducting the surveys have to be trained very well. Of course, compilation and actually doing the analysis also, it's extremely time consuming. So looking at the trends, that's the question that you asked in terms of what are the trends of this. I haven't heard of any analysis being done on the trends as yet. I think perhaps after the 2027 survey, maybe they have now, they will have 4 GNH surveys that they can actually look in terms of analyzing the trend values. So I'm just looking at the questions. One question was from Mr. Mayur, which asked how religion influences the index. I'm not so sure because we have not done anything based on religion. That kind of analysis hasn't been done. And also the question by Dr. Raza Khan, which says, is there any study showing relation between GNH and sickness? So in terms of actually diving deep into the GNH survey and making these analysis for religion, for the link between sickness and GNH, I don't think so. We've done that level of analysis so far. And then the query from Mr. Barai, Vinod Kumar Barai, I have a query, which group are the most happy? Generally, it shows that urban dwellers are more happier than the rural people. And from men, comparing men and women, men are happier than women. So these kind of analysis looking at gender and location have been done, but really delving into deep into the other aspects, so far there has been no analysis conducted of that.
Just one more question. On any specific age group that you conduct the survey on?
So the survey is done, which covers all demographic profiles. So there isn't any specific
age group.
There's no specific age group that the GNH survey is conducted on. It's conducted across all demographic and age groups.
And has there been any, because the size of your population is very small, the number of respondents to your total population. So how do you, justify the application of the index to the whole country?
That's an interesting question, which I will have to note. But I agree that the sample size appears to be small. And I'm sure that in the next GNH survey, which will be conducted shortly, they will probably try and look at that and perhaps expand it.
Thank you, Excellency.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can ask.
Thanks a lot. Excellent presentation, Her Excellency. I have just question or comment. I want to say that a lot of number of factors are related to GNH. These can be the person himself, his family size, area, and the country. What do you think? for the countries which have very high population, too much competition for resources and jobs, etc. These all factors will have effect on GNH, I think. Your comments are needed. Thanks a lot.
So, Dr. Tanvir, I agree with your comments that given our small size and the fact that Bhutan is a very is a country where people are taken, health is free, education is free, and the competition for resources may be, not so challenging. So, given all of this, GNH to implement the GNH philosophy may be less challenging for Bhutan. But again, we go back to the point about, we can start GNH in a small way in your own communities, in your own organizations, and scale it up. Because I agree that GNH as a philosophy will be challenging in other countries that may have very different set of challenges.
Yes, Mr. Monish Saxena, yes, you can ask. Yeah.
Thank you very much, DG sir, and also Madam Karmata for giving such a nice presentation, and also the insight of the like all the world is going to the GDP, but Bhutan is focusing on GNH, so that's very interesting. I just have one question. Like most of the questions have been answered, like previous, is there any digital tool that you are using for the collection of this survey, and are you like considering anything so that like more participants? Participants they come into they answer these questions through the digital tool, so that the surveyors they doesn't have to go to each and individual to collect those survey. So, and also for analysis of these, are you using any digital tool for this? So just one question. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. I'm sure the Center for Bhutan and GNH studies will be probably trying to use digital tools as far as possible, because it will definitely make the cost of conducting more cost effective. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Hussein. Yeah. Mr. Hussein, yes.
I'm from Malaysia.
Yes.
Bhutan is the only country that use this index. So now that no other country use this index, how do you find other countries compared with your country? Are they which one is happier or less happier than Bhutan? And in Malaysia we have welfare index, but there are many differences, so we cannot use the welfare index to compare with your index. Thank you.
Mr. Hussein, I'm sorry I didn't catch your comments very clearly because there was some noise here. Would you mind just?
Yes, ma'am. He is asking like that. No other country does this survey. So, which other country you think is happier than Bhutan? Like Malaysia has welfare index, but it is completely different from Bhutan. So, this is his comment and question also.
Okay, thank you. So, I would. It's difficult for me to answer such a question because I'm sure all are very all the very who are well acquainted with statistics and with all these calculations would say that unless you conduct a similar survey, it would be difficult to make a comparison. But the UN does. They do the happiness surveys are conducted in by certain agencies, and of course the Nordic countries come very well and do very well on those indicators. But I mean, each country will have to adapt and adopt what they feel is best suited for their own country. And for us, this is something that is aligned to our ethos and our identity as a Bhutanese. So we conduct these surveys. And similarly, I'm sure every country, the political, there has to be the leadership that decides that this is our priority and this is the way we will do it. And accordingly, then such practices can be adopted. I'm looking at some of the questions that are there in the chat. And the question by Miss Radha Madhav is, do we have this kind of disparities of wealth in Bhutan? Bhutan generally is quite egalitarian, is quite an egalitarian society. But some level of disparities are arising. And the effort of the government is always to ensure that there's harmony and there is, the socio-economic development is equitably spread across all demographic profiles and people living across the country. So this is very critical for us in Bhutan, that we do not have income disparity. There is a question by Dr. Thapa, who says that, can we consider them happy enough? Well, as I think it goes back to the earlier question about how you would like to see happiness in your own country and how you would like to measure it, and the kind of political will to put it in your development programs and plans and take this forward.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there is another question linkage to your comment, like she is asking, is there any further analysis on the reason why man is happier than women?
So yes, a very interesting question. From the survey point of view, I cannot answer because obviously that needs an analysis. But as a woman, I think instinctively I would say that perhaps it's because women may be carrying the larger share of the household burden in terms of the work, and then perhaps that could be a reason why women are less happier than men. But that's just my own personal take on this result.
Okay, well, actually we are at the end of our webinar, but still, if anyone asks any last questions to Her Excellency before our DG Sir's comment and final remark, please do. We will take one last question.
Ma'am, may I, as Assistant Secretary Virgilio Lasaga from the Philippines?
Okay. Yes, yes, sir.
This is quite very interesting, and this applies holistically to all the members of the people of the world. This is on how we will be able to give happiness to each and every one of us, respectively, particularly in countries we belong. Now, I would just like to ask Her Majesty, the Ambassador, on how she will be able to contribute to the people of the world and make everybody happy forever in their lives. So this has something to do with all our job, including everything that we are doing. And we really have to practice the sharing from one person to the other and then from one country to the other. This is what I am expecting for all of us as members to happen to all of us, that we'll be able to finally feel how important life is for all of us. That's the only thing that I would like to ask Her Majesty, Ms. Ma'am Ambassador.
So thank you very much for elevating my status, but I am just an ordinary ambassador. So on your question of how can we elevate happiness across the world, I'm no spiritual guru. It may be difficult for me to answer that, but if I look from the perspective of Bhutan, we have this GNH Index. It's something that we are working with, and it has worked to a large extent. So this is something we can offer to the world in terms of a practice that if anyone wishes to adopt, they can take it and customize it to their requirement. So this is an offer to the world. And of course, then we have the Mindfulness City, which we welcome all of you all to visit as and when the Mindfulness City is completed. And that will be a place where we hope that you all can find some spiritual enrichment and as a mindfulness retreat and a place to rejuvenate and recreate a happier world. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I'm so sorry because we are very end of our time. So now I am requesting our Honorable Director General, Dr. P. Chandrasekhara, sir, to provide his final comment to this platform.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Excellency. It was a wonderful presentation. Actually, number of participants and the representation of countries, that itself is an indication that this talk created a lot of interest, enthusiasm among our participants. Thank you very much. It was a it went like a story. We thoroughly enjoyed your presentation. And finally, I would like to make one or two observations. Number one, I really enjoyed the presentation. Really, it is need of the time, number one. Number two, majority of our participants, they want the presentation for your information. With the permission of Excellency, we would like to circulate presentation to all the participants. Number two, this entire talk will be edited and placed in CIRDAP YouTube channel in a day or two. You can have access whenever you are free, and you can also circulate to your fellow colleagues. When we have, regarding the topic, one or two observations, when we have a lot of, social awareness, cosmopoliteness among the people, it is very difficult to reduce the gap between need and greed. So people have mistaken greed into need. So then how can we make people happy? That is one of the biggest challenge. There was one interesting question. Can we bring, the same kind of tools in Bangladesh also, in India too? You see, Excellency made it very clear that we need to customize to every country with little modifications depending on socio-economic conditions. That is very important. Then there was another question actually, is the religion has influence on happiness. Excellency, this is my personal experience. Few months back when I visited Bhutan, out of my curiosity, I asked the same question. The person who accompanied me to the conference, why I find more happy people here. He told it is because of the teachings of Buddha and conscious effort by people to adopt the teachings in letter and spirit in their life make us more happy. This is what I heard from one of our friend there. Regarding important factors identified in cross-national happiness index, there are certain things which we are not following in rest of the world. Factors like cultural diversity, ecological diversity, psychological well-being, time sense, and community vitality. These 5 factors are missing whenever we calculate, the growth or development in rest of the world. Probably this make a very big difference when we integrate these 5 factors into our measuring parameters. When we look at the yardstick, 9 domains and 16 sections and 360 questions, it looks so complex, but very, very simple questions which people without thinking twice, they can answer. that kind of questions were asked. So even though it looks complex, but for administration, it looks very simple. And to get, the first answer from their heart. Of course, another interesting observation, 49 policy programs were screened by the government. Not an easy task. I think this is one way, one thing we can learn from Bhutan. Whenever we launch any policies or programs, probably we can also screen for happiness index. And another which we can just try to adopt in the rest of the world is GNH business certificate. Keeping, customer, what Mahatma Gandhi says, customer is God. So ultimately the citizens are God. So this application of the same philosophy into business certificate, probably very few organizations will qualify, but that sets a very high benchmark for other organizations. I'm very happy to see Lazaga, my friend from Philippines. He devoted his entire life for cooperatives. Is it possible to, segregate a few cooperatives as happy cooperatives based on their performance? Happy farmers producers organization, happy NGOs, happy business houses, happy villages, happy districts, competition among districts or the states to attain higher rank in happiness. I think when we create, these happy entities here and there, it creates, a lot of awareness and competitiveness to be more happy. The concept of Gelupu City, I think this is wonderful. Our best wishes for success of this program. We will get earliest opportunity to visit Gelupu City. When the rest of the world is talking about smart cities, the most modern cities, commercial cities, here is a country which talks about, happy, mindful city. Probably this dimension should be taken very seriously when we think about development. Of course, bringing digital tools in a survey can cover more people in less time, as Mr. Manish Saxena made a suggestion. It was a wonderful talk, Excellency. Thank you very much for your time and the patient hearing of all the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you all for joining with us.